What up? It's Golden Spaces, y'all, an Odyssey original podcast with Justin and Nat. We are here. We are here. Listen, we're gonna do like a little short stint today because things are still good. Things are still good. People are still quiet. There's not much to talk about. So we're gonna just run through a few things real quick, check in, and let's see what's going on. So I think I saw Kareth Burke tweet this about Steph's summer. It was a couple weeks ago, so I'm not even gonna look for the tweet, but it was like something along the lines of, and it was funny because I was saying something similar, but like, yo, Steph is having one of the best like promotional summers, like rollouts in like a really long time. And I forget how but she's like, it must be one of the best of like all time, but it is. I mean, he's just been everywhere, and we've talked about it. But since even last week, since we've talked about it, it's continued, like
even more. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he's still been everywhere. He thinks he's on Good Morning America. And, there's been like a bunch of stories coming out about him, and he's in a rap video. So I mean, let's talk about some of these things. But the reason he's doing all of this is because it's all to promote his film Underrated that came out a few weeks ago now.
Maybe
you saw it, right, Justin? You watched it.
Yeah, I did.
What were your thoughts?
It was good.
Give us a review. It can't be like, oh, it was cool. Like, give us an actual film review, Justin.
I think it was well put together. It did a good job of sequencing like his life leading up to everything, right? So it started from high school where they had to restructure his shot. They make sure they had a segment based on that and how he struggled with that initially, and then how he wasn't highly touted as a high school prospect, and how he was so excited to go to Davidson, and everyone was like, "What is Davidson like?" So it kind of like you can see how all those things kind of lit a fire and kept feeding that fire as he got older. And then he got to Davidson, and he had the clip on there about how his first game went and it was terrible. He had like 12 turnovers, something crazy. And then from there, he kind of took off because his coach stuck behind him. And he did a good job of highlighting the people that kind of, came up with him, especially his college coach, and gave him the confidence and the freedom to turn into the player that he ultimately became. But he showed that it wasn't an easy road. Like, he had bumps in the road. He definitely was underrated throughout his entire career leading up to that point, but he also had some moments where he could have broke down and he could have just, kind of been like, actually, I'm not that good. But he, overcame that, and it's been a testament to everything in his NBA career as well. But I thought it was going to be more about his NBA career, but they just they got that all in like one little 2-minute part of the whole video. It was like, yeah, they won a few championships. He broke the 3-point record, and it was all cool. But it was mostly about high school and college, like mostly about college.
Which makes sense because that's the part of his life where he was underrated. So, people who were acting so goofy about this before it came out, oh, Steph is underrated, this whole debate, and we're not even going to entertain that. We're not even going to get into it because people sounded stupid. Like, he clearly was.
Right.
And that makes sense why the film was focused on it. There's a lot more to write and say and film about Steph Curry's life, and I'm sure there will be other documentaries because his story is still, his NBA career, that story is still ongoing, So I think that makes sense. And that makes me feel a little better because to me, I was like, it feels a little premature for a doc on Steph. But if you limited it to the time frame of his prior to his NBA career really starting, then that makes sense.
For sure. I mean, I think a lot of people got the terms underrated and underdog mixed up. And even in some aspects, he is an
either way,
underdog.
he's both.
Yeah.
Like, people seem to think the term underdog only applies to your circumstances in life. Like, there's one definition, and that's really what it is. They can find it to like one definition. You can be an underdog, like,
in sports.
I could be like, have lots of resources, riches, and things like that. But with respect to like, oh, I'm trying to get into like whatever area, whatever field, I'm an underdog, like that's all it means. And so literally you can look up the definition for underdog and you can look up the definition for underrated, and they would both apply to Steph.
For sure. Definitely.
And so no one here is trying to profess that Steph is an underdog at life. You
Right.
know, like that's not what we're saying, but you know, and it's so funny because if you really want to talk about like privilege and everything and all of that with respect to like having your basketball career like paved out for you, no one had that more than LeBron James, right? Like I mean, he had like TV cameras and crews. No, seriously, like at his games, like he was destined, he was going to be picked. He didn't have to, worry about any of those things, but he had to worry about financial and other stuff and the way he grew up. So it's like it's kind of the opposite because it's just like, well, I mean, he had like the lane set for him and paid for him in terms of his basketball career, not necessarily having a father or someone to teach him, but just like he was gonna go, he was touted, everybody
Mhm.
wanted him, right? Like, at this point, it's like, can you live up to all the heights that people think you can be?
Mhm.
Which I'm not saying is an easy thing to do. So shout out to LeBron for turning into a great player versus people not even thinking they should take a chance on you because they don't know, right?
Mhm.
And the fact that you had an NBA father didn't matter. And I never understand why people bring that up because why don't we see Michael Jordan's children? Why don't we see all the other greats' children's? Dwayne Wade's son ain't in the league, right? Like, if it was that easy, why aren't all the sons of these great players out here balling?
I mean, was Seth Curry even drafted?
No.
Like his dad and his older brother
And
already
does
in
he
the
play
league.
as well as Steph? No. So it's
Exactly.
like,
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure there's some level of nepotism at play with some players. I don't think that applied to Steph and him going seventh overall and being one of the greatest players of all time. Like you
no,
said,
I
there's
think once
plenty
he
of
got
players
into
out there
college, he proved himself and he
for
earned it.
sure.
But he still had to get in there and prove himself. The colleges didn't want him. So yes, he ultimately became a top 10 pick, but even with being the number 7 pick, there were still a lot of doubts and
Hmm.
questions about him. And no one thought his ceiling was two-time MVP, four-time champion, one of the top 10 best players to ever play the game. No one thought that was his ceiling.
Facts. Facts. And there was nothing that his dad could have done to accomplish that for him. Right. He had to go out there, put the work in and and show that talent on the court. So it's just people like to, take different lanes to hate on stuff. It knows no bounds. There's going to be people from every angle trying to find a way to diminish what he's done. So it's not a surprise.
No, and it's just quite utterly ridiculous, to be honest. Ridiculous. Like, come on. Come on. And in general, I just don't like it because, like, taking it away from, like, just the haters, it's like the media and everyone's a part of the problem because it's a societal thing too, but we amp up people who come from circumstances where like they made it out and they should be celebrated. But it's
Mhm.
like unless you come from poverty, and this is a lot with black people, but unless we come from poverty and one parent households and went through the gutter, it's like our lives apparently couldn't have been hard. We couldn't have struggled. And even if we didn't struggle, like, so what? Like, even if you didn't struggle, why can't your accomplishments still be celebrated, right? Like,
Mhm.
I've never understood that. Like, it should still be celebrated. And for the record, if you're black in America, you don't have it easy. It doesn't matter what level of life you're in, okay? So let's
Yeah, for
be
real.
clear about that. LeBron James still had nigga painted on his home, okay? So there's no time in life that it's easy for us.
Mhm.
I grew up in quote unquote middle class neighborhoods. In preschool, my parents had to go to school because I was being teased for being black. In elementary school, I was one of like 4 or 5 black kids, and I was called Blackie. Like, I had guidance counselors try to keep me from getting into gifted. I've had other guidance counselors try to discourage me from applying for certain internships. Like, their struggles faced in a variety of different ways. Okay. I still have had store owners think I'm trying to steal from their store. Like,
Mhm.
it didn't matter that I lived in a better neighborhood. All real things that have happened to me. I've had people at work tell me, oh, look at you talking all ghetto because they heard me overheard me on the phone with my girlfriend, needed to be minding their business. And I was talking about my makeup, and I was like, girl, and I don't know what I said. And they were like, look at you sounding all ghetto. Oh, it's using slang ghetto now. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are all things that I have encountered. Like, that's just a few quick like anecdotes, okay? With people I work with. Now imagine me having to work in this environment. It was a senior person, and me just having to continue to work in an environment with someone who talks to me like that. You know,
Mhm.
it's like there's no easy for anyone who's Black in America. So that's why I just always laugh at the idea. Like, yes, we all have different levels of struggles, but it's still a struggle. So for any of us to make it, to be successful, like it's to be celebrated, and it should be. And I hate this whole comparison of like, oh, well, you ain't really. How you know what I did? How you know what I did? And I'm Jamaican, so I've worked like 3 jobs at a time. You don't know what I did. I know that's a stereotype, but it's real
Same.
because
No,
I
that's
did it.
funny. That's funny because same. But
Yeah, like you don't know my hustle and my grind. That's why I always laugh. You don't know.
hey,
And
I've
that's why
had
I hate when
people.
people look at other people and just like, when you are, it's very rare. It's very rare, particularly for like us, but like it's just very rare when you are at the top of your field in something and you're one of the best. It's very rare that you just did it off of no talent at all or without hard work. Yes, there are people who can open doors for you, and on some level we all need people to open doors for us. We need someone to believe in us, we need someone to give us a chance, but then you have to go in and do the work. You have to. If it was just as simple as someone putting him on a team and drafting him, why didn't all the other NBA players turn out like that?
Right.
So I don't like when we minimize people's accomplishments and their hard work. And that even extends to Aisha, because people are like, oh, she's only like something because of Steph's fame. Aisha was actually an actress. She gave up her career to be a mother and all of those things, but she was an actress. She could have pursued that. She does all of her cooking content. She has all, like, those are real things. Like, does being married to Steph help her? Sure. But why can't she get the benefit of that? Don't white people get the benefit of all of that? Aren't Joe Lacob's sons up in the office because of that?
Hmm.
You know, we've been conditioned to believe that like we shouldn't accept help, and we should, because I remember like when I was trying to like get a job at a law firm, and my mother's like, do you want me to, like, because my mother was a secretary. And I'm like, no, because I don't want any handouts. I don't want, why do we think like that? I don't think like that no more. Yes, give me a help, make an intro, help me. But
Right.
we're conditioned to be like, no, I want to like
Get
make
it
it
out the
harder.
mud. You gotta
It's
get it out the mud.
stupid.
Yeah.
That's a dumb thing to do. Don't do it. Don't do it.
That
No, I'm
grind, that
serious.
grinder.
Because when you work in that world and you see nepotism and you see how the networks and the connections and people, like, we the only ones being like, no, no,
Right.
that's stupid.
Very
You
much
shouldn't
so.
do that. But that doesn't mean that you don't have talent. Someone gave you the chance, right? You got
Mhm.
to still do something with that opportunity.
Facts. And I mean, that's ultimately what parents and mentors and people who are from, previous generations want for the generation coming up, or at least they should. I mean, I put in a lot of work for myself to get me where I am. Let me help my son or my daughter or someone that I
Precisely. I
yeah,
want it to be easier for them than it
right.
was for me.
And ultimately, even though it could be easier in terms of an opportunity presented to them, they still have to do the work. So that's that applies to everything. But I mean, when you look at Steph's story, it was even less of a given for him, right? Because it's the NBA. This is like we can say, oh, he's Dell's son all we want. At the end of the day, he got to go out there and perform to even be noticed by NBA scouts, and then to actually be drafted that high, and then to turn his career into what it was turned into. Um, it's almost impossible to say that he got anywhere just off of his dad's name, like very
It's
clearly. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
It's very ridiculous. So leave that bullshit behind. We don't condone it. We don't support it on this podcast. All right. So check out Underrated. I know like most Warriors fans have already watched it, but just saying, based on Justin's review, how many stars?
5.
5 stars. There you go. There you got it. The official Underrated
Official review. Rotten Tomatoes. Nah, we ain't doing Rotten Tomatoes. Just me. 5 stars.
So it's happened. All right. So Steph was in a rap video. How do you feel? Steph got bars, Justin?
I mean, I don't know if it was his bars, but the artist, I think his name.
Hold on. If y'all could say Drake and Kanye got bars when it's not their bars, then Steph can have bars if it's
That's
not his bars.
crazy. I mean, it's not even his voice though. But look, I understand. Kanye don't write his own stuff. Drake sometimes.
Some of it he does. I'm just saying. I'm playing around. But
yeah, but it was cool. I like the video though. I like the video. I like the song. Yeah, it was nice. I mean, the artist.
What's the name of the guy he's with?
Toby. I forgot the guy.
How do I pronounce it?
Let me look it up.
Because I was struggling.
Let me find it real quick.
So while you looking for that though, so it was, he's like in the boat, but like the bars that he chose, the parts that he chose to like lip sync over, I still think it was sort of telling. It was like, all right, Steph.
They like fit Steph's life. Like it was like Steph rapping it.
Right. And it made sense. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, I like this Steph.
Yeah. Like he just like out there, like I'm
him.
Right. Wigwe, Toby Wigwe. NWIGWE. He's a good artist though. I've seen some of his stuff even before this song. And I've always liked this stuff. I just never really.
No, I heard people, but I don't know. I'm not familiar with him. That's why I was like, I didn't want to mispronounce his name.
Right. It was dope though. I liked it. It was, the video was cool. Unexpected, kind of like out of nowhere. But that's been the theme of the summer.
Did you like the splashes? Big splash.
Yeah.
Oh, God. They could have paid me to dive in the water. I would have said
it. There we go. Hey, we gotta hit
up. I feel like that's so Steph.
Splash.
And then just being on a fishing boat. It's like
he should have had Clay in the video with him on a boat.
Oh Lord.
That would have been sweet.
Speaking of Clay, Steph, Seth, and Jordan. They were putting up some shots. I didn't see Draymond Green there though.
Yeah, he would have been messing the runs up. He would have been messing the drills up.
I have a feeling he wasn't invited.
Oh, of course he wasn't invited. If he trying to do shooting drills with them, they're gonna be looking at him crazy anyway. But yeah, he definitely wasn't invited.
Yeah, so there go your they don't like Jordan theories.
Yeah, that was always BS. And basketball is basketball, like on the court for your team, especially in the NBA with all the different things that play, money, all that type of stuff. Sometimes it's just things need to happen a certain way, right? Guys need to be in some different situations. But as people, it was very clear they were very close as friends. Steph, he looks up to Steph and Clay. He was like Clay's biggest fan, on the team, always supporting Clay and vice versa with the older guys and him. So I think they got a bond that'll never just be, diminished or anything like that. So it was cool to see them too do that.
For sure. So Justin, I talked about liking, Steph's video and the fishing, and it's, I like those things that he does. Let me tell you what I don't like that Stephen has been doing. Like this little tour he's going on when he's kind of discussing the changes to the team and what didn't go right last year and everyone's mindset. I just feel like all of this feels targeted at the bench.
Mm-hmm.
But the bench players were not the only ones exhibiting these issues. So it's like they were not the only ones being selfish. They were not the only ones unwilling to compromise. They were not the only ones who were not fully focused. And so I'm just hoping the energy is the same.
I think he might be.
You don't think it's just the bench guys?
Nah, I think Clay might be included in that too.
And Dre. I don't know why we're excusing Dre. Dre was not thinking about the team when he punched Jordan. I'm gonna keep saying that.
That's a
That was
fact.
his own shit. And
That's a,
then, and he
mhm.
wasn't focused the way he needs to be last year. The fact that he showed up in one fucking game in the postseason doesn't move me.
I would say he showed up for more than one, but you're right.
Fine. One game in the Lakers series. That better? Push back on that one.
I think the Lakers series is
No, I don't
like
want
an
to hear
interesting
excuses
take.
for him, Justin.
I mean, it's not excuses for him in particular. I think at that point in the season, they were all running on fumes. That was just a weird series. I think if they ran that series 10 times, they win that
Steph
series
was
7 out of
crying
10.
and he was clapping it up with LeBron. That's what I saw.
Yeah, yeah, he was.
I mean, whatever.
That
Like, we're
was
gonna
weird.
call a
Yeah,
spade a
that was wild.
spade. Like, to me, Steph was the only person going hard the entire postseason. So, and but in general, like, I just do not think that anybody on the team had the right mindset. And I don't really think that Steph did either, because I think he just had a mindset of like, I don't think he was holding all the people accountable he needed to. And we've had a long discussion about this already. So I'm not going to revisit it, but it's just this sort of language. I just want to make sure we're not just putting everything on the young guys. That's all I'm saying. Like,
For
the
sure.
accountability has to be for everyone. It's not just the bench guys. And though he's not calling any names, it just feels like some of the language is targeted at them. And to me, it lacks accountability, because it's just like, were you and all your people in the right place?
I think ultimately all this stuff comes back to how they put the team together and understanding like personalities. When the age gap is that great, personalities are going to clash most likely. Like you said, like we said all season, the young guys have every right to want to be the best players that they can be and have the best careers that they can have. So for them to just be expected to put all of their personal aspirations to the side to say, hey, let's just keep winning Steph and Clay and Dre more championships and we get yo-yoed and we don't have the chance to play and all that type of stuff. That was just unrealistic.
But why do we
Um,
have to keep targeting them? It's like, okay, we got it, stuff. Like, how many times you gonna keep saying the message? Unless that's messaging at
I
Chris Paul.
think,
Because, like, to
yeah,
me, like, you got a new guy coming in who y'all are trying to amp up, and he's telling us he don't even want to come off the bench. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
I think
I
it's
don't
both.
know who this energy is directed at. So that's why I'm not gonna like fully be like, but I'm just like, this better not just all be at like Kaminga and Moody
I think
and
it's both.
whoever.
I think it's both because I think there were older guys last season that were kind of doing, outside of even Clay and Draymond. I think
Dante,
Dante,
Jermichael, who's not on the
Jermichael,
team
exactly. I
anymore.
think he's just trying to send a message to everybody, like, look, we ain't dealing with this shit this year, no matter who it is, right? Like you said, some people might have a certain viewpoint of themselves, and their playing time or whatever the case may be might not align with that. But as long as it aligns with the team's goal of winning a championship and building the right habits going towards a championship, then that's all that should matter. Um, I don't think it's like a retroactive, like he's just talking about Jordan and all the young guys from last year. I think he's telling everybody that's on the team this year, this is the direction that we're going in. And if you ain't on this wave, then like I might, to take the LeBron route and kind of get you up out of here. But but yeah, I don't know. I think it's targeted to everybody, to be honest. But like you said, we don't know for sure. But I'm a presume that it's to everybody.
Okay. Well, if it's to everybody, then let's talk about Chris Paul. Because the Warriors have been doing a little media tour
Damage
with
control.
him, whatever it is, like trying to like hype him up. And DeMarcus Cousins, who is no longer a Warrior, his one season there, made some comments about Chris Paul and not seeing how he's gonna do anything to elevate the team, blah blah blah. So you had thoughts about that.
Mhm.
But tell us your thoughts about DeMarcus, and then overall, what do you think all this Chris Paul talk is about, Justin?
Well, with DeMarcus, I think he hates Chris Paul. Like even before he got to the Warriors with the Kings, the Clippers used to kind of cook the the Kings all the time, and he's had his run-ins with him, and we've seen it on the court, a bunch of different memes and stuff like that. So he doesn't like Chris Paul. Uh, I think that's where that comment is rooted in, because basketball wise, that just doesn't really make a ton of sense to me to say that he won't help them in any capacity or like help them be better than last year, that's just, not really smart to me. Now, if you say he has injury concerns, that's somewhat valid. But basketball wise, objectively, he's obviously going to help them. But as far as the comments, like everybody kind of hyping Chris Paul up, I think it is because he has never come off the bench in his career. He obviously had that snarky comment earlier this summer where he was talking about you the coach or something like that. I think they all just kind of butter him up just so they can be like, hey man, you ain't starting. But you are but you are guy though, bro. Remember? You're so good, bro. Like you're just great. But just come off the bench. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what it is. I mean, and then it's obviously just kind of breaking the ice. Like they've been at each other's necks for so long. Like Steve Kerr said, they were competing at the highest level for so long that you kind of develop a competitive hatred for that guy. And now you're on the same team. You kind of got to knock that wall down and just be like, all right, look, we together now. Like all the stuff that happened in the past, we acknowledge it, but we got to put it to the side for this one common goal. So I think that's what it is.
Okay.
At least I hope. I mean, I hope because the one decision that can make or break the season is how he accepts his role. Like that literally can make or break the season. Unless they just be like, all right, you don't want to come off the bench, we're going to trade you at the trade deadline. Which
I
who
don't know that you
knows?
care.
Yeah, who knows who's going to be available at that time? Who knows? A bunch of different stuff. So hopefully he's just like, yeah, I'm with it. Whatever we need to do, we can do it.
Well, I don't really have anything to add to that. So I will just say one other observation I've had is I haven't heard any more podcasts mentioning Jordan. So I don't know if that's deliberate by design or just happenstance, but
Dre just been kind of MIA for a little bit. After his latest thing, he been quiet.
mm-hmm.
People have been tweeting like, "Is anybody seeing Draymond in the gym?" I'm sure
could
he's
be
been in the gym. He just hasn't been putting anything out there.
could be a coincidence,
Right.
but
That's what I'm saying. Steph's comments could be targeted to everybody. He could have made that call and said, "Look, bro, chill out." So
okay. Well, that's all we got for y'all, Dub Nation. I told you, short and sweet. Just want to check in on our beloved Dubs. Um, let the summer of Steph continue. Let the good vibes hopefully continue. And soon, I still think we have a few more weeks before the NBA schedule is released, but I need it to happen. It needs to hurry up, Justin. I need it.
Oh, you'll be happy to hear that Andre hasn't announced anything yet. I think Mike Dunleavy said like
they're not leaving it up to him again. They're not saying that.
They're kind of they're pretty much like, we're not going to retire you. You retire yourself. But I'm pretty sure they're like, bro, please retire. But it's not like, So hopefully Andre retires just for his sake, for the roster building sake. He's a legend. We love Andre, but
bro, you literally could just like join the staff and get the same salary. Like you don't have to take up a spot on this team.
I think you might still want to play. But it's like, bro, you play 15 minutes and you hurt, bro. So
and you also are never there.
So yeah.
How can you want to play when you can't be there? You're hurting the team.
Yeah.
This can't be real. This can't be real. They cannot be thinking of filling that spot with Andre.
I don't think they are, but I think they're just like, out of loyalty to Andre, they're just like, we're not going to tell you we don't want you back as a player, but
pick up on the clues.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Because last year they was campaigning to get him back. This year it's kind of like, bro, can you just
we appreciate
ride out in the sunset, my guy? Shout out to Andre, man.
Yeah, we love you. Though you don't got to be telling people that like y'all was just chilling because you knew with Katie. Because here's the problem when you say stuff like that. I know what he's saying, but it makes it seem like because they got Katie. It's like these dudes don't think about how they use their words because like those same words, these people on Twitter try to take it and weaponize it,
Mhm.
against Steph. So just like, y'all stop telling us what used to happen. Like, or just think about your words. Anyway. Justin, as always, it's so good to see you and to chat with
Good
you.
to see you as well.
Guys, well, I don't actually know. I may not be back next week, but we'll be back next week. We, as in Golden Spaces. I
Mhm.
have some things coming up, so none of your business, but I have a birthday coming up, but I'm not saying when. So I have a birthday coming up and, weddings to go to, those are always in the summertime, just things. So I'm not going to be around for like the next couple of weeks, but we'll see. But don't worry,
So,
the content will still come.
for
And if
sure.
something pressing happens, you'll definitely still hear from us. Right?
Of course. Of
Okay.
course.
Thank you for tuning in with us, guys. Seriously, all jokes aside, we really appreciate y'all. As always, make sure you download, make sure you share, tell a friend that you're following us on
Mhm.
Twitter and Instagram at
Mhm.
Golden Spaces Pod.
On X and Instagram.
What?
On
Oh,
X.
Lord. Shit, we got to change the logo.
Oh yeah, damn, it's an X now.
Bro.
Elon Musk.
I
My
am not referring to that site as X. That's stupid. The only X that I acknowledge is Malcolm. Okay. So this
bad.
is a problem.
Oh
I
man,
guess DMX
Have you
too.
posted and reposted today?
That shit annoys me when I see that now. Like, what? Like,
It's so
you
dumb.
really threw your brand recognition out the window. Like,
Literally makes no sense.
it's literally called a repost on every other generic app.
So dumb.
That's what it's called on Threads. Like, why? Anyway, I don't have time to examine the mind of a madman. So follow us on X and Instagram at Golden Spaces Pod. Oh, goodness. All right, y'all. Until next time, take care. Make sure that you leave a review, a positive one, and 5 stars. All right, for real now.
Mhm.
Until next time, guys, take care.